You can support police officers, as I've done, through the COPS program, through the Invest to Protect program, while at the same time holding police officers, like all professions, accountable. One thing I have not done, I've never pretended to be a police officer, and I've never threatened a shootout with the police.
Well, and now I have to respond to that.
We are moving on,
I
gentlemen.
have to respond to that. And you know what's so funny? I am work with many police officers, and at the same time,
Mr. Walker,
excuse me,
Mr. Walker, please, out of respect, I need to let you know, Mr. Walker, you are very well aware of the rules tonight.
Yes.
And you have a prop.
Yes.
That is not allowed, sir. Yes. I ask you to put that prop away.
Well, it's not a prop. This is real. And he said, I have a problem. I never worked with law enforcement.
It is considered a prop, Mr. Walker.
Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
You're very well aware of the rules, aren't you?
Well,
aren't you aware of the rules?
He brought up the truth. Let's talk about the truth.
Thank you for putting that prop away. And as a matter of fact, we still have a lot to get to, and we are not going to continue this. We're going to follow up with a question.
I'm sorry, did Herschel Walker just pull out a toy police officer badge after he got called out for lying about being a cop? Okay, so I didn't think I needed to make a video explaining how Herschel Walker isn't actually a police officer because he was given a badge. But then again, I didn't think a candidate for the United States Senate would ever pretend to be a police officer by flashing a fake badge, but here we are. According to the former DeKalb County District Attorney, the title of honorary deputy holds no power at all and is seen as a political token for people supportive of the sheriff who might want to get out of a traffic ticket. Quote, "It absolutely means nothing. It is the equivalent of a junior ranger badge." And look, I'm not looking to rain on Herschel Walker's parade because I know how important it is not to stifle anyone's imagination. It's important to nurture everyone's beliefs that they can be anything they want to be. And if Herschel wants to be a police officer, then damn it, we should encourage him to do exactly that. Because far be it from me to crush the dreams of our nation's young people, and also the occasional 60-year-old. Although I would caution one thing, I'd probably urge any pilots out there not to hand Herschel Walker any of those plastic wings because there's a non-zero chance that he'll find his way into the cockpit of a 767 ready to fly from Atlanta to Los Angeles. Maybe also keep him away from any fireman's hats in case he feels the need to run into a burning building. And please, dear God, do not give that man a stethoscope. I don't think I need to explain that one any further. Here's what's especially telling though. We all know that Herschel Walker is not a police officer. Herschel Walker knows that Herschel Walker is not a police officer. Getting a fake badge does not make you a cop. It is a symbolic honor, a gift, a memento. And yet still Herschel Walker opted to lie about it. And so if your goal is to prove that you're not a liar, maybe don't flash a fake badge to try and prove your point. Just, for starters. And just to be clear, while this moment was the most nakedly absurd moment of the debate, it wasn't Walker's only blunder. Take this, for example.
Because if you have an able-bodied job, you're going to have health care. But everyone else have health care is the type of health care you're going to get. And I think that is the problem. And what Senator Warnock wants you to do is depend on the government. What I want you to do is get off the government health care and get on the health care he's got, to get you a better health care. So that's what I'm trying to do, to make you independent rather than dependent.
Ah, yes. Americans should get off the government health care and get on the health care that Warnock's got, which, to be clear, is a government-provided health care plan. So, yeah, nailed it. Or this moment, where instead of standing up to the predatory practices of Big Pharma, Walker instead just tells people to eat differently.
We passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which had two of my provisions. One, caps the cost of prescription drugs for seniors so they don't have to choose between buying medicine and buying groceries. And one caps the cost of insulin. He said he would not have voted for the Inflation Reduction Act, and I think he should tell the people of Georgia why he thinks they should have expensive insulin and why the pharmaceutical companies should be able to charge us whatever they like.
Well, first of all, may I respond? I believe in reducing insulin, but at the same time, you got to eat right. Because he may not know, and I know many people that's on insulin, and unless you have eating right, insulin is doing you no good. So you have to get food prices down, and you got to get gas down so they can go get insulin. And you continue to pat yourself on the back, but right now, families are starving. Right now, families are hurting, and they're hurting because of the bills and the laws you're passing right now.
Senator Warnock, I'll give you an opportunity for a
Listen,
rebuttal.
I meet people all the time in my church who are trying to manage their diabetes. I've been there when they've gotten the news that they've got to get an amputation. And I think we're hearing from my opponent tonight that it's their fault that prices of insulin are being gouged. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the fault of these pharmaceutical companies. Insulin's been around 100 years. The patent was sold for $1. They're engaged in price gouging, and too many people in Washington think they work for the pharmaceutical companies. I work for the people of Georgia.
Well, he's in Washington.
Can I finish? I work for the people of Georgia.
Yeah, but you're in Washington.
And that's why I stand up for them every single day.
And you're
Ah yes, just eat right should be a big help to anyone who's got diabetes out there. If you weren't sure about the extent to which Republicans would sell out their own voters in a heartbeat for special interest groups, this should answer that question pretty clearly. And then, of course, there's Walker's position on abortion, which is that there should be no exceptions, even in cases of rape, incest, or the life of the mother.
I think that the women of this country and the women of this state woke up one summer morning and a core protection that they've known for 50 years was taken from them by an extremist Supreme Court. And I stand where I've said I stand in the past, that a patient's room is too narrow and small and cramped a space for a woman, her doctor, and the United States government. We are witnessing right now what happens when politicians, most of them men, pile into patients' rooms. You get what you're seeing right now. And the women of Georgia deserves a senator who will stand with them. I trust women more than I trust politicians.
Well, what's funny,
We need
man,
to keep moving, Mr. Walker.
I have to respond to this.
Very quickly.
Because he told me Black Lives Matter. And if you think about it, Senator, in Atlanta, Georgia, there's more black baby that is aborted than anything. So if Black Lives Matter, why are you not protecting those babies? And instead of aborting those babies, why are you not baptizing those babies?
Mr. Warnock, or Senator Warnock, will give you a chance to respond to that.
I think the women of Georgia have a clear choice. He says no exceptions, even in the case of rape, incest, or the life of the mother. I think that's extreme, it's out of touch with Georgia, and I intend to do the work that senators can do.
The ultimate irony, of course, being that Walker himself has been in the news for weeks now because of both the abortion that he paid for and subsequent efforts to encourage a woman to get an abortion. Which is not to shame him for doing that, he absolutely has that right. But he's now trying to take that same right that he availed himself of away from everyone else. Meaning that not only is he hypocritical, but he is a clear and present danger to the people of Georgia and the United States, who should have autonomy over their own bodies. And at the risk of losing the forest through the trees here, let's not forget that on the other side of Herschel Walker's antics and glaring lack of qualifications is a man in Herschel Warnock who is eminently qualified and who's been a relentless fighter for regular, working-class Georgians. It's not just that Herschel Walker doesn't know what he's doing. It's not just that he's a bad choice. It's that Herschel Warnock is a phenomenal choice. And I'd refer you to his statement that he ended with at this debate.
Well, thank you so very much, Georgia. It's wonderful to be here. Listen, in this state, we have nearly 11 million people. And only 2 people get to represent us in the United States Senate, just 2. And when I think about that, it is an awesome responsibility, one that humbles me and inspires me to work as hard as I can for hardworking families every single day. And I've worked with Democrats and Republicans in order to do that work. These are difficult times. These are dark times. But the scripture says that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness overcometh it not. I'm honored to represent you in the Senate. I hope that you'll show up to vote early, beginning Monday. I'd be honored to have your vote. God bless you. Keep the faith.
Before you go, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. You can click the thumbnail right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work even further, the best way is to subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. There you can check out my interviews with major players in the world of politics, including President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Katie Porter, Jamie Raskin, and so many more. Plus other interviews that live exclusively on the podcast. That link is also right here on this screen, or just search No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen wherever you listen to podcasts.